Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from BidAmount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art, and today is Friday, May 25th, 2018. And a few minutes ago, we finished the video for the London sales over at Bonhams, Christie's, and Sotheby's, and you can check those out later on today if you haven't seen them. But for now, we're going to do the weekly look back at last week's auction results and see how things went. It was sort of a quiet week. This upcoming week seems to have a lot more stuff in it, but it was still a pretty good week. And one of the pieces that was up last week was this. It was a pretty interesting Kangxi decorated clobberware vase. But it was, the ones that they clobber and did later over in the Netherlands. And this was a particularly nice one. I love the way they did the scrolling vines and so forth around the body, and they highlighted the lappets and so forth. And this did pretty well. Clobberwares are suddenly starting to get some interest again. They were very popular about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. People were out actively collecting clobbered pieces, and now it seems to be interest coming back to them. And this one went for $810. Orlando Shores had it. I think it was a pretty reasonable price. Didn't seem to be at all unreasonable. It was a good-looking pot. All right, and then we move along to this. There was this really nice little Yongchen lotus form teapot. Beautiful deep red enamels on this. This had nice color. It's a shame he shot it against a white background because it's kind of hard to see. But it was a very nice pot. And he included some good pictures. It had an old label on the bottom, and it did quite well. It brought $1,343, and that's what the really good Yongchen pots that are molded and shaped like this tend to bring these days. The people in China are starting to buy them back as well. All right, and then there was this. This was a nice, deep red rock crystal jar, but very good color quartz in this, and beautifully carved all the way around. It's probably a late 19th, early 20th century piece, but elegant carving, and it did quite well. It brought $887, and this wasn't a really big one either. It was only about, how big is this? About 7 inches tall, all right? They're never that big. Occasionally you come across huge ones, but it's pretty rare. And then there was this. This was a nice little Republican period vase. It was very well drawn. It was only about 4 or 5 inches tall, but beautifully done, really, really nicely done. And it was inscribed on the back and had a nice looking smooth, creamy glaze to it, very nice glaze. Had a mark on the bottom. Unfortunately, he didn't get it too well focused when he took it, but it has this pretty standard apocryphal Qin Leung enamel, overglazed enamel blue mark, 4 characters, and it brought $1,913, okay? Those continue to have a lot of interest. And then there was this. This was sort of an unusually large 18th century Qin Leung garniture. It's part of a garniture set, of course, vase. Very elongated, very nice shape, and it was around 14 or 15 inches tall. It was a good size one, and the gilding on it in the diaper pattern and everything was still very tight, and had very nice, very tight and good deep dark blue decoration around the rim. The cobalt on this was quite good. Sometimes it can get a little wishy-washy. Anyway, this one went for $1,675. All right, it was a nice vase. That was a good one. And so if they get much bigger than that, once they go over 20 inches, the price of those vases tends to jump to about $15,000, $20,000. But that was a nice one. And this is a very attractive ivory blade Chinese export fan. Nice one. No, you're not supposed to sell ivory on eBay, but everybody does, and everybody knows it. So, at any rate, there's the decoration. Nice interior scenes with figures all the way around, and the blades on this were beautifully carved. They really were nice quality carving, and it went for $960, which is sort of the range that they tend to bring. But there was a nice fan. All right, this was a seller over in Madrid, Spain, that had that. And then there were these lime green ground planters, nice big planters, very well done. And here's a side shot of them. Good color. There was a small nick on one of them, somewhere on a corner or something. I can't remember where, but it didn't seem to bother it too much. They went for $6,200, and but nice color, and they have the trays. Often these pairs, by the time you get them, one of the trays has been broken and glued back together twice and everything else. This one was overall in pretty good shape for planters. Planters, people put plants in them. They get banged around a bit. And then there was this robe. This was a very nice robe, and I think this was a pretty good buy for someone. Had a little bit of fading through the midsection here, you can see, but good stitchery all the way around. It had a very nice collar, I thought. But the stitching on it was quite good. Those are those strips that you see sometimes people frame them. This is where they come from, off these robes. There's the collar. It's obviously a 19th century one, nice wear around there. And it only went for $449. All right, that's a pretty pretty reasonable price for that. And then there was this, the Qin Leung Teapot, a nice one with Chinese figures in a outdoor scene. He's holding, one of them is holding up something for the ascending bird, and but nice quality. It had some pitting here, which probably held the price back a bit. And nonetheless, it brought $549, but it was a good size too, nice size pot. All right. And on to this. This is one of these Benkarang ware pieces for the Tibetan market. Very, very stylized in their color always, and they made them in a variety of different palettes. But this was a nice one, and it did pretty well. It brought $287 for a cup. Not bad. Okay. You can still buy these pretty reasonably. You could build up a nice collection of them without going broke. And then there's this. This was a nice little Kashi, sort of a vase, probably part of a garniture originally, and based on an archaic bronze form originally, and nicely done. Not a big one. I think this was about 8 inches tall or so, and it went for $458. All right, and it was also it was some of the Vung Tau shipwreck as well. And what size was this? I want to find the size to make sure I didn't mess that up. If they put it anywhere, there it is, 21 centimeters. Yeah, so about 7 inches tall. All right, and moseying on over to here was this. This is a very nice foliate rim lotus decoration, and with a nice scene of a woman being attended to by somebody presenting her with a basket of flowers. And if you look at this, you'll notice that the way they did the basket of flowers, that's often used all by itself as the center of Kashi and Qin Leung plates. In much larger fashion, it would fill the whole center panel. It would just be this particular pattern, sort of curious. And here's the back of it right there. Okay, this looks to be probably a Kashi plate, and it did pretty well. It brought $510, which isn't bad, which is pretty good price for an 8-inch dish. They do turn up though in the market, so there's not a huge shortage of them, but those are very nice. And then there was this. This was a rather unusually colored platter with the combination, especially of the light blue and that sort of almost, I don't know what you call it, magenta or something on the rim, and it's depicting a woman in a wheelchair, which is quite unusual. You don't see scenes like this typically. But she's being greeted at someone's house. They're bringing her out a plate of fruit, and very nicely done. And it went for $765, okay? And despite being re-glued in one place, okay? And then there was the monster table hanging. This was quite a thing. Had a whole bunch of rondelles running down it. It was very large, and very good quality needlework, though, all the way through. It's a late 19th century one on that very black-blue ground. And it did quite well. It brought $3,150, okay? And then that was about it for the week. There wasn't a whole lot this week. People are sort of getting into summer mode, but we're going to take a look now and see what's coming up this closing over the weekend and things that we'll be putting in next week's newsletter. There's quite a bit. This is all stuff that has to close yet, including this. This is a seller that has a whole bunch of early ceramics. There's some Ming celadons in here. There's a lot of Wan Li pieces and crackwares. There's a whole bunch of them. And then we'll pop over here. Wait a minute. We'll go to this one. There we go. This is up right now. It's a very nice, I don't know if it's yuan, but it certainly looks like a Ming incense burner to me. And it's up to $311 and ends on Sunday. So check back on Sunday, see if you want to take a shot at it. And then there's another incense burner that just got listed. This is also a Ming one. Very nice. I like the crackle glaze on this, and I like the way the glaze is pooling very nicely on the shoulder below the upper vertical section. Nicely done handles. Here's the bottom of it, nice looking base. A little bit of gunk and kiln material here, but that's the way it should look. It's a nice looking little thing. And right, it's got 9 days to go. It's only up to $12, all right? But come over, put it on your watch list, and drop a bid on it. And then you can sit back and wait and see how it does. That just went up last night. And then there's this square sort of Kangxi or transitional to Kangxi bottle. Rather nicely done. Good looking scene. And what's nice about this is I noticed the edges on it aren't all chewed off. Often these vases have a lot of fritting up and down the sides. There's a tiny bit, but not a lot. All right. And it has its original lid, which is really unusual for these. All right. Usually you just see the unglazed paste, the biscuit sticking up. All right. This one has a nice has the original lid on it. And it's up to $610. And has a couple of nicks here and there, but and it's about 8 inches tall. All right, that's a nice item. That's a good item. And then there's this, the Kangxi Plate. This is a nice famille vert plate, good overglazed blue enamels, and the decoration of the foulon in the center, sort of being encircled by birds and butterflies, alternating butterflies, then birds, and butterflies, and I like that. Nice and beautifully done border with some nice overglazed blue. And here's the back of it. It's got that grooved foot rim that you see on these bigger pieces, and it should do pretty well. It's a nice plate. It's 35 centimeters, so about 14 inches wide, which makes it a charger, and it's a good plate. Okay. And then there's this robe that appeared in the last few days. This is a nice 19th century dragon robe. It's been worn. It's been used. It has little bits of wear here and there. They did a rather poor job getting the color balance, I think. But at any rate, this is a nice old robe. First half, it looks like first half of the 19th century to me. And we'll see how it does. So far, it's up to $1,136 with 8 days to go. So either it'll go up a whole lot more, or it may just go up a bit more. I think it'll probably go for probably 5,000 to 7,000, but we'll see, 4,000 to 6,000, somewhere in there. And then there's this. This is closing, I think on the weekend. It's this nice cafe ground, late 19th century vase with the dragon, and they have this, dry enamel, sort of simulating bronze. It's a good-looking piece. There it is. And it's about 12 inches tall, as I recall. And it's up to $66. Yeah, it closes Sunday. All right, but that's a nice-looking little vase. I like that. I like those pieces. And last, I was going to point this out. We put this in the newsletter. I was surprised nobody bought it. This is a very good book by Soam Jennings on Japanese porcelain. It's one of the early Bibles on the topic. It's a thick book, and it has a ton of information in it. And if you're into Japanese porcelain and you don't have this book, buy it. I have a copy. I've got the Chinese porcelain book he did that was very similar, and the Japanese. And he was an excellent writer. He was a great writer. And $30, that's a pretty good buy, okay? And there's a lot of good information in his writing, okay? He was a British guy, did a great job. All right, and that's it, okay? So subscribe here to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Come over to BidAmount.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter if you don't get it already, and participate in the forum. The forum's up to about 880 members. I'm kind of surprised. I'm always amazed, but I'm glad people are using it. It's great. We've had to expand our server space a little bit because there's a lot of photographs that have been posted there, which is fine. So keep posting photographs. Without photographs, this isn't of much interest these days, is it? And that's it. Okay. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you all next week. And we'll be watching to see how the Hong Kong sales do in just a few days. Next week they'll be having the sales. They start around Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. All right. Have a great weekend, and thanks for visiting. See you all later. Bye-bye.